All right, fight fans, it's about that time. We got to pick Eddie's brain here, Mr. Matchroom himself, Eddie Hearn.
Back to get me in trouble, guys. Back to get me in trouble.
Yes, sir. That's our agenda every week.
Eddie, what do you think about this guy? Oh, Eddie, this guy said this about you. What have you got to say? Oh,
Eddie,
wait till we start talking politics. Then you really.
Listen, people want your opinion. We got to pull it out of you. And speaking of opinions, I want to get I really want to pick your brain as a promoter right now. We talked last week about Gervonta and Ryan going back and forth. Now him and Floyd is going back and forth about who's the A side and so on and so forth, right? From your perspective, right? Who's the A side on this fight first? A, is it Gervonta or Ryan? And Ryan moved up to 140 and looked phenomenal against Fortuna. Should he make the sacrifice to go back to 135 to fight Tank? Even though Tank has fought at 140 against Barrios, what would you do if you were advising Ryan in this situation to make this fight happen?
So you want me to make a comment on something I've got nothing to do with, so that people say to me, why are you sticking your nose in? Why are you giving your opinion?
Oh, let's put this in a video. No, let's put this in a video, just to make it a little easier on you. Ak is asking Eddie his opinion on this situation.
Okay, my opinion is this. When anyone starts talking about the A side and this and that, it's a red flag, right? Doesn't mean the fight can't get made, but all of a sudden, it's a conversation that doesn't really need to be had, in my opinion. Sometimes you get a fight that just works for two people, and two people with big profiles come together, and it can be questionable of who is the A side. Certainly, Gervonta Davis has been making more money. Gervonta Davis has been part of bigger events consecutively. He has been drawing big crowds consecutively. He's been fighting at this level for a longer period of time. Ryan Garcia is a bit of a phenomenon. You know, he's the guy who brings a different kind of audience to the fight. He has a huge profile across social media, particularly. But at the end of the day, without Ryan Garcia, there is no fight. And without Gervonta Davis, there is no fight. So in my opinion, what everyone should do is, you know, Stephen Espinoza, Joe Markowski, whoever, like, none of my business, they should come together, Golden Boy, Gervonta Davis, and say, right, let's split this pay-per-view on Showtime and DAZN. Let's generate as much money as possible. Let's sell out a huge arena. Let's put all the money in the middle, and let's go 50-50 down the middle to the two fighters. That's the sensible way to make this fight. Now, if Floyd starts saying, no, hang on, it's 70-30, it's this, we all know the fight's not going to happen. Like, it's just not. Like, Ryan Garcia is not going to take less than 50-50 in this fight, in my opinion, and nor is Gervonta Davis. In fact, Gervonta Davis probably won't take 50-50. Now, back to the weight. Let's not kid ourselves about sacrifice getting down to 135. Ryan Garcia has been 135 for ages. You know, all of a sudden he pops up to 140. It's not like, oh, he's got to come down to 130. Tank's got no business being at 140. It just so happened that he could move up there and fight Barros and pick up another regular title. So 135, in my opinion, is actually where the fight should be made at. But that's between the fighters, and we don't know the ins and outs of how comfortable Ryan Garcia is at 135, whatever. But the first step is, you know, broadcasters, promoters come together. Like, if you really want to make a fight, I've been there dozens of times. If you really want to make a fight and the other team really wants to make the fight, you will make the fight, I promise you.
Can we get to a point where the boxer just gets happy with what he's making? Meanwhile, what I'm saying is that you say to Ryan Garcia, hey, you're making $10 million on this fight. Don't worry about what Gervonta's making. Will we ever get to that point where
you should never worry about what the other person's making? But I don't think I've ever been in a fight of magnitude where the fighter does not worry about what the other fighter's getting. It's the first question. Well, what's he getting? Don't worry about what he's getting. But the truth is, Gervonta Davis cannot make this type of money fighting anyone else.
Right. Okay.
Same with Ryan Garcia.
And this fight last week you mentioned, I think you threw a ballpark figure out there. You think it does somewhere between 600,000 and 800,000 pay-per-views.
But maybe more. That could be conservative, but that's, that was headline across all the boxing websites. Hearn says, and I was like, oh no, but that's what I would say. I would be budgeting this fight between 600,000 and 800,000 if I was promoting a show. I'm not promoting a show. I think it has potential to do even more. It's like I said, it's a mix of two different fan bases, and that always lends itself to a big fight.
That's very true. Well, let me talk about a fight that you would be involved in, and that's Katie Taylor versus Amanda Serrano. Recently, Amanda Serrano spoke to Boxing Scene, and she said that she just wants to defend her titles at 126, but she's willing to go to Ireland to fight Katie Taylor. Have you heard that?
That'd be nice. Yeah, that'd be nice. I mean, look, when I say Serrano wouldn't take the rematch, I don't mean that disrespectfully. That's just the truth, and she's confirmed that as well. She just wanted to have another fight. The problem is when you go and have back-to-back defeats, it puts your career in a different kind of position. You've got Anthony Joshua coming up.
You saying that this girl has any chance of defeating her? Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying that she could be. No, I'm talking about the reason she didn't take the rematch. Okay. To suffer back-to-back defeats, so she can go out, she can get a good win, she can defend her title, she can make a few $100,000, and she can fight Katie Taylor next year. I'm not saying it's a bad decision. Some people want to go straight into the rematch and try and avenge defeat immediately, but it's dangerous, correct? You got AJ Usyk's a good example of that. Yeah. AJ could have gone away, come back with 2 or 3 wins, and looked for Usyk down the line. But he wants to fight him straight off the bat. It's dangerous because back-to-back defeats, they're never good for a career. Yeah. Right. So, Amanda Serrano, hopefully she gets the win on August 6th. And then hopefully we can make the Taylor, look, again, when you talk about Ryan Garcia, Gervonta Davis, Serrano Taylor, even though Katie Taylor won, they need each other. Yeah? They can't make that kind of money without each other. I mean, Katie can get there-ish, but ultimately, still, and I don't mind saying it, the biggest fight out there for Katie Taylor right now is the rematch. And that's exactly the same for Amanda Serrano. So let her get her win. Katie will fight in October, something like that. Okay. They'll both win, and then hopefully we can do it in front of 80,000 in Ireland next year.
Listen, Eddie, they say time heals all wounds, right? And I want to know how forgiving you are as a man. Your buddy, Jarrell Miller, is come back and he's 2-0. We all know the history, about testing positive and so on. You guys had a lot of animosity towards each other. Does he deserve to be back in the sport? And would you ever work with him if the opportunity presented itself?
Number one, he owes me money, so that'll be dealt with. Number two, I can't. I think that everybody deserves a second chance. And I'm not talking about testing positive. I'm talking about in life. If you do something wrong, I feel like it should never be held against you for the rest of your life, depending on how bad it is. Right. And I'd like to think that everyone can have it in their heart to forgive someone and give someone a second chance if they're genuinely remorseful, if they're genuinely sorry, and if they change for the better, into a better individual. The issue that I have is that, and it's difficult because I actually quite like Jarrell Miller and I spent a lot of time with him and I was very fond of him. I just feel cheated myself. There was a lot of cloud over Jarrell Miller for stuff early in his career, and when I worked with Jarrell Miller, a lot of people were telling me, oh, this guy's, he's cheating, he's failed tests in the past, he's this, he's that. And you hear that for a lot. And I always want to judge an individual on how you take them and how you find them. Yeah. So I worked to give him an opportunity to fight Anthony Joshua. And it was the perfect fight for both at the perfect time. It was AJ's debut at Madison Square Garden against a loudmouth, character from Brooklyn. And I just felt and this wasn't, sometimes it's always nice to give someone the benefit of the doubt, right? And sometimes you believe in a fighter, and there are a lot of fighters that are unlucky by failing tests, right? Some are careless, some are cheating, but if you sometimes you want to give a fighter the benefit of the doubt, right? Right or wrong. This was stone cold cheating to beat another man. Like, and there's no other way to describe it. It wasn't someone gave him a supplement that, you know, he wasn't aware of and it was just a conditioner. This was stone cold cheating to effectively physically harm another man. Right? Let's not dress it up. This isn't, when you talk about winning, like, why would you want to take these substances? To physically enhance your performance in a sport that ultimately you are physically damaging or attempting to your opponent. And because I'm so close to Anthony, I felt and it wasn't one drug test. It was multiple drug tests. And it was injections. Like, you know, if you take a substance or there's something in a recovery shake or, I don't know. But when you're sticking needles in yourself, right? Like, this is an addiction. And I feel that for some reason, Jarrell Miller could not fight without using performance-enhancing drugs. That's my opinion, right?
Wow.
And I think that's mental. Like, that's, as in not crazy, that's a mental thing, right?
Well, let's just hope that he, you know, wants to fight without any substances, and he's turned over a new leaf. But I believe Ak is asking you because, you know, look at Povetkin's past. You know, he's failed drug tests as well, I believe, and he still got that chance to fight Anthony Joshua in front of 90,000 people.
He was a mandatory challenger that ultimately we had to fight or be stripped. I mean, that's another situation.
No, what I'm saying is the forgiveness of boxing. That's what I'm saying. The forgiveness.
Well, he did say that everybody deserves a second shot. So
absolutely.
For me, all I'm saying is, I'm not saying someone shouldn't give Jarrell Miller a second chance. I'm saying I'm not giving him a second chance.
Gotcha.
Because and I know fighters have failed tests and come back, but this guy failed tests, multiple tests, in an attempt to have an unfair physical advantage over my friend.
How does he owe you money though, Eddie? Can you explain that, if you can elaborate on it?
Because we paid him in advance, that ultimately the clause in the contract, which is you failing a drug test, means that you repay that advance. So that will be dealt with legally during this time. But again, I like Jarrell. I was very fond of him. And that's why I fought so hard to give him, wasn't just a payday, it was a monster payday to fight Anthony Joshua. I'm talking about millions of dollars. So, you know, and again, it just don't sit well with me that what he did to try and beat and get an unfair physical advantage over Anthony Joshua.
I don't know how much are you into wrestling and WWE, but Vince McMahon has stepped down after 40 years of running that company. We were thinking and talking yesterday amongst ourselves, like, what if one of the biggest promoters stepped down? Like, what type of impact would it have on the sport? Like, what type of impact is that going to have on wrestling now?
Well, I think, firstly, WWE, whilst a huge multi-billion-dollar business, is also a family business, really.
Yes.
You know, and you've got now Stephanie McMahon stepped up, who's, you know, very bright, very clever, very sharp. And we live in a society now where women are having more and more of a positive, and rightfully so, influence in the world of business. So I think timing-wise, I think that's not a bad thing. I mean, look, my dad's 74, you know, and I've just taken over as chairman of Matchroom. We're not the WWE, but we're on our way to being there for boxing. And, you know, times change, times evolve, people move on. Don't be deluded enough to think that Vince McMahon won't be working on the WWE every single day, just like my dad is. But also at the same time, the front runner, the one, you know, putting the miles in, the one front facing the media, now will be Stephanie McMahon. And the WWE, listen, any business, any sport where you can get fans, right, debating what's going to happen in an event that's pre-scripted is an absolute genius of a model. I Listen, I used to watch WWE growing up. I find it unbelievable going on social media, people debating who is going to win.
Adults are doing this. People our age. That's mind-boggling to me. That's another conversation.
Enough of you guys bashing WWE.
I watched WWF when I was 8 years old.
Same. But like, listen, what a business! You got to take your hat off to them, and it's slick. It's slick. It's powerful. All these things. The WWE have built an incredible business, and Stephanie McMahon is, she's grown up. I know what it's like to grow up in a business, right? It means more to you than anything. So she's going to be fierce. She's going to be dangerous. She's going to be very ambitious, and I'm sure she'll do a great job.
Absolutely. Her and Nick Khan got a lot on their hands right now. But speaking of family business, what about when you get the times where your father wants something, he has an idea and you have a different idea? Does he give you that reins and say, hey, it's your company now, you go ahead?
Yeah. He's, to be honest, ever since we did Froch Groves at Wembley and he told me not to go to Wembley for the rematch and we sold 80,000 tickets, he just gave me the reins from there. And, he won't really, the only thing he struggles with is hearing the purses of the fighters, because he's like, still thinks it's 1990, so it's like, how much he get? So-and-so. What? I said, Dad, it's not 1990, and I think the big thing, and you heard Dana White, allude to it the other week, is that a lot of fighters are paid purses that they're not, that they don't have the commercial value to command. But we live in a world in boxing that is so competitive amongst broadcasters and promoters and managers and agents that 90% of the time you end up paying that purse,
overpaying,
to block, to maneuver, to
so it's all about egos. You're willing to overpay because of your ego, like.
Not just, yes.
It's not ego.
I'm saying that's part of it. Like, I'm going to beat this portfolio. Right.
Yeah, but sometimes for a bigger picture, sometimes for a move down the line, sometimes because you've done a new broadcast deal, or sometimes because you're about to do a broadcast deal, and like, it's like when DAZN came into the marketplace, we were being very aggressive with fighter purses, and others stepped up and matched and even went beyond at times. It was crazy. And now, we're in a position where DAZN have such a powerful brand in boxing, we can pay the right money. But many occasions, you pay the wrong money for another reason. Or like you said, for ego. Right. But that's also a dangerous game.
Yeah. All right, before you get out of here, can you drop something on us? Is there an Eddie exclusive today?
I went to the barbers this morning, right? And for the first time, I actually had the nostril wax. Have you ever had that, guys? The hot wax up the nostrils.
Yes,
I'd probably die.
I have. So you got your nose pulled.
It was a very, very brutal experience.
I know your eyes probably started tearing.
Eddie's exclusive. Yeah, no. I think that we talked about this big fight coming. I'm pretty confident we're going to give you some very big fight news this week. So watch this space.
All right. Well, you promise you'll break it on here, so we'll be waiting for that call.
Exactly.
Thanks for the time, Eddie. As always, cheers.
All right, guys. Take care.